So during Nintendo's Switch 2 Direct, I thought it was interesting in the third-party portion of the Direct, we saw Wild Hearts of all things make an appearance. Could there be more to it? Could there actually be a reason why Nintendo decided to show this game in the Switch 2 Direct? Let's discuss. Yo, what's up my fellow Dragodons? Dreadclaw here, and today I want to talk about Wild Hearts, Koei Tecmo, and EA's take on Monster Hunter, and, in my opinion, one of the better alternatives to Monster Hunter. Now, before the comments start raging, I have tried to get into God Eater 3 and Dauntless. Well, Dauntless back before the devs decided to pull a 180 and killed the game, you know? Executive decisions, and I really couldn't get into either of them. They just didn't have the same feel as Monster Hunter in terms of cool gear worth grinding for upon hours and hours and hours and hours just for that monster to drop that one specific material need. You gotta love the RNG with these games, am I right? Satisfying combat, at least in God Eater's case. The monsters were a tad generic in terms of design, which I get. It's aliens, it's different tone compared to Monster, but still, nothing really stood out aside from maybe the one on the cover art. And that's about it. That's the bare minimum I will say, where it's like, it's not generic, but nothing really stood out in my opinion. Although, Dauntless had some of the better designs on the other hand. Some really dope designs. Like an owl, there was like a beaver creature, there was some cool reptilians. Oh man, it's still a shame the game decided to just die. As well as some of the gameplay choices from both games turned me off. Whether it was Dauntless having a health bar, which I know for some, that's not a turn off, but it's an immersive choice when it comes to Monster Hunter. It just kind of takes you out. It's like, if you want a health bar, just go play a Souls game. It's like, really, what about a health bar is complicated for this? It's like, they give you, nowadays you have skulls, you know, if they're limping away, it's like, you can easily tell if a monster is on the verge of death. It's not that hard, people, you just gotta actually pay attention to what's going on. Or God Eater 3's brain-dead AI and NPCs join you on main story missions, which I know for some is not really a turn-up, but it's just like an optional feature at least I would like if it was my first time playing God Eater 3, which was, I would have liked the option to turn it off, just like how in Monster Hunter Sunbreak and Wilds, you know, you get the support hunters. It's a completely optional feature. It's outstanding when you think of it, how Monster Hunter's hard to replicate or do their own spin on the formula that's actually good. Now, I was skeptical with Wild Hearts as well. Not because of EA, but because it was developed by Omega Force, the devs behind the Dynasty Warriors games, which I feared it was just not going to have any weight to the combat. It's just going to be a button mashing simulator, which, don't get me wrong, I can understand the appeal of a game where you have these big wave of enemies, but combos don't really feel satisfying to pull off in the games, like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, or even Darksiders. But the more I saw of the game and trying out the free trial on Game Pass right before the game launched, any fear I had with the gameplay was put to rest. It was a day one purchase for me, personally. But would I say Wild Hearts is a perfect game? No! Especially going back to it recently after playing Monster Hunter, the game feels a lot more jank than I remembered. But I'd still say it, if you looked past the rough edges of the game itself, is pretty fun. Some of my gripes just come down to the camera, climbing the kimono just to get the wounds. feels a bit clunky, especially when it comes to points where you're not even climbing up on the monster, or excuse me, kimono. And for whatever reason, at specific heights, the game will just teleport you to where you previously were. This is this game's version of fall damage, and after a while, if you use a specific weapon, or if you're at a specific height, it just gets really old. Another thing to note, the game must have had some kind of positive reception. Otherwise, why would Capcom add in some aspects from Wild Hearts into Monster Hunter Wilds? Stuff like a rooster monster like Dreadclaw, a fire monkey like Lavaback, the focus strike move for dual blades being very similar to a move you can use for the claw blade, and how now you can freely put up tents. Just some things that are a bit noticeable. Would I say they copied? No, not really. I would say the Monster Hunter development team saw these ideas and wanted to do their own twist on them. More so, I would say inspired, not outright copied, unlike some developers. Game Freak. But you're probably asking, so what's the whole point of Wild Hearts getting a Switch 2 port if the game was considered a failure? Not to mention, none of the other EA Originals games have been announced to come to the Switch 2, besides the possible Game of the Year contender, Split Fiction. My friends, this is where it gets interesting. I took a look around the Switch 2 version of Wild Hearts, and nowhere does it mention EA Originals. So Koei Tecmo themselves probably trying to give the game a second chance, cause they seen the potential the game had, but missed due to a rough launch. Now, I could just be coping, but maybe they're testing the waters to see if there's still interest, which could lead to a sequel if the Switch 2 version sells well enough. But there's probably that one person being like, why do we need Wild Hearts when we got Monster Hunter? The answer is quite simple. Competition. Where there's no competition in a market, it leads to developers to not even try to innovate or try bad business practices like how Game Freak have done with the Pokemon franchise. Now, I'm not saying Monster Hunter is in a bad state, since the Monster Hunter team is still actually passionate for the series, but competition is good for us consumers and the developers/publishers. It's a win-win situation for both parties. Now, I do fear when it comes to this being the Switch 2 era of things, the other thing I could see that would hinder the game is if it was, let's say, still $70, which, as much as I like the game, I don't think it's worth the $70. I'm sorry, but it is not. Now, if it was like maybe $40 for the Switch 2 version at least, I could see that being a more reasonable price point. Hopefully, if the performance is a bit better compared to when it launched, that's another thing, because I'm not sure about the PC version, but I still hear sometimes that it's still not fixed. You know, it's funny, I always jokingly call Monster Hunter Wilds Wild Hearts 2, but I didn't want it to be the PC version issue. At least on console, Monster Hunter Wilds is fine, so. But the other thing that could also hinder the game's sales could be the fact that Switch 2 has this whole game card thing where the game is not even on the card, you have to download it, which I know for some that like their physical versions, this could hinder them a little bit and put a sour taste. But yeah, generally guys, that is my thoughts on the whole situation with Wild Hearts and it coming to Switch 2, which I'm hoping it does well enough we do get a sequel, because I really enjoy Wild Hearts. It's still a great, I would say great, but it's a good game. It's a good alternative to Monster Hunter in general. I think it has a lot of potential, and I could see a lot of cool things they could do with a sequel to iron out the issues the first game even had. And I hope that with the sequel, I hope the freaking birds don't piss me off. I don't know what it is. Wild Hearts just pissed me off when it came to the birds. Ooh, especially that one phoenix creature you fight. God. Don't repeat stuff like that, especially when you fight it in the village. But anyway, guys, let me know in the comment section below what you think. If you have a Switch 2, are you gonna be picking it up? Because I would say, if you are someone who really likes the more modern Monster Hunter games, like World or Rise, it's definitely a game you should definitely check out, in my opinion. Because it definitely hits that sweet spot when it comes to World. But anyway, guys, I will see y'all in the next video. Peace!